You'll see our heading today, Real Creation Research. Now, of course, one thing that annoys people who are enemies of creation, who hate the truth, is the fact that when we do debates particularly, I love to get into an argument there, friendly, of course, if I can. And then when they make a point, I sort of reach into my pocket, you know, my famous vest, the pockets, and I say, look, I've got one of those. Here it is. I've got 10 more at home. So real research, going and seeing what the actual evidence is. So you can see a lot more of this on our slideshows, on our website, creationresearch.net. Send in more Q&As or read our Q&A. Okay, what have we been doing? Well, here's Diane in the background. There's Clem, and there's a partially obscured Daryl. Daryl's our curator. And can you see the bit of apparatus we've got? What on earth is it? Well, I designed that to demonstrate one unusual point, and that is that when you have water moving, the layers are already in it. They're not in it because it's running downhill or anything. We start this machine with the water actually still. And do you see there's a little motor on the bottom and there's a regulator? The regulator's a brand new addition because we needed to actually test what speed the water would get up to if just the round tray that it was in started to move. And we wanted to put the sediment in because people are telling us, oh, the sediment only forms in layers because the water is going from A to B. Well, the water in this case was absolutely still. We added the sediment in and then we turned the tray. Of course, we then discovered that we needed to find out what speed the actual rotary disc was moving. I'll give you a close-up look. The disc starts moving. The perspex, yes, circular perspex is not the cheapest on the planet. Putting electronic guidance in it, making sure we can measure the number of rotations, the speed, etc. Oh, do you notice something? We just dumped the sand in, and then within one or two revelations, that's wonderful, Joe. We're not into that sort of thing in terms of research. Within one or two revolutions, the sand has started to be organized. Yes, we've got our famous mineral sand and quartz sand there. So don't be surprised, it forms two layers. And of course, we can actually tell what the speed is. You see our fancy bit of equipment on the bottom? It actually gives us the rotary speed. It can enable us to slow it down. It's a continually graduated motor, so we can start from absolute zero and almost spin the disc off the planet if we want. That's why it's such a big, old-fashioned, heavy foundry wheel, so it's not going to tear apart. Interesting. Can you see what's happening to the layers of sand? They started out unmixed. Now look, they're sort of separating out into layers. You've got white layers, you've got black layers, and the sand itself, we just threw it in. We didn't stir the water, we've actually stirred the pot. Interesting. Yes, there will be frictional speed attaching to the water, but I was doing this originally to prove that the layers were in the water before you even turned it. And I'll tell you what, that's exactly what we found. There's the rotary disc still going. There's the perspex, you can see through it. You can see the fine dust at the top. But look what's happened to the bottom. Now, this was first noticed by our geologist, Liam Fromeyer, and he was standing there one day. He was interested in seeing, well, are the layers in the water? So will we all. Often, by the way, you get results you didn't plan. And this was one result we didn't plan. Now, many of you watched our Strata machine. You watched our layers form. You saw our Fountains of the Deep program. Go back over, have a look at our website. The whole video is on the website if you like. Or Joseph, you've posted it up on the YouTube, correct? Fountains of the Deep. They can re-see it again.
So
yeah, it's all up. It's all up and ready to watch.
Good, great stuff. Now, do you see the actual shapes that are forming in here? Liam just went, wow, look at that. And then it disappeared immediately. Well, we've taken quite a while to say, did we see anything? Now, was actually something there. And then we did it again and again and 50 times. We've done this maybe 100 times now. And there's a certain speed at which the layers don't disintegrate, but they actually become more reinforced. Can you see our same results as we get in the horizontal strata machine. You get layer upon layer, but something new happens. Can you see the landscape at the top? And so Liam and I and the others said, wow, how can we do this intentionally? So we figured out we needed to know what speed it was going. Enter a couple of our mechanics. Enter our electric engineer, Clem. Enter that nice, infinitely controllable, the old-fashioned electric motor at the bottom with controls. And can you see what we can do at different speeds? Now, what does that look like to you? There's black layers, there's white layers. Oh, and if you think it looks like the scene out of an old Western movie, you're quite right. Because in our horizontal strata machine, we just simply form layers. But in our rotary strata machine, where you get a section behaving like it is a section of planet Earth, you don't just get layers, you get landscapes that are absolutely beautiful. And so over the next few months, where we redesigned everything here and we removed every possible bump. Yep, you're quite right. Thank you, Murray, for your engineering skills, removing all the bumps from this. Thank you, where we could eliminate every option of causing these bumps except for the speed and the actual rotary motion. Now, I don't know about you, but it's not just Liam, our geologist. He's a field geologist, and he was amazed at this. I sort of run Jurassic Ark, and I'm amazed at this. Oh, and we're amazed at this as well. You see, last week, one of our young university students was there to help for the day. We'd found the top of this log before, but it had been raining for weeks, just gently. So the ground was lovely and soft. Can you see what young Cain has found? Yes, we've excavated this. There's Cain and Luke. Now, I'll tell you what, can you see the hole just behind the back of the young man in the front? It's very interesting because this is a fossil tree with a very distinct hole in it and what looks like a burrow on the right-hand side. But as we got closer, we noticed one particular interesting thing. Now, how good are your eyes? There's a little lip on the bottom half of the picture. Then there's an entry point into this hole. Then there's a little concretion in the middle. But as we looked around it, we noticed one thing. There's regrowth around the edge. Now, any of you who've chopped a hole in a living tree, if the tree doesn't die because of your malattentions towards it, you will find the bark will regrow over that hole. It does that for birds, which actually pull their way. Some birds will actually tear a hole in a tree and live in it. Many birds are a bit lazier. They wait until a branch falls off and a hole just rots in there. But some birds will actually make a hole. And if the tree's still alive, the bark will regrow over the outside. Now, we've stood amazed at this because, to be honest, it just looks like a bird-made cavity or an animal-made cavity in the edge of the tree, and the tree has stayed alive up until it got drowned and buried and perfectly preserved with the cavity in it. Wow, biological activity? We're continuing to investigate that one, but the one thing you do know is that hole was there when the tree was buried. The tree was growing while the hole was there. It's regrowing over the edges. Fascinating stuff. Jurassic, hey, I wonder what birds were up there. Was it a possum hole? What was it? Anyway, we found something absolutely unique. So thank you, those of you who've supported us financially. Make sure you use your super chat and super duper chat, all those things you can donate to. Well, because it had been raining the past couple of weeks, we actually had the most successful single day in the whole history of Jurassic Ark digging rocks. See where Daryl is? He's our curator. We keep him pretty busy, not just setting up for rotary flumes, not just loading up horizontal flumes, but actually digging rocks. No, he didn't find that one. I go along with a sharp metal stick, a steel one, about 3 foot long, a meter or so long, and I go poking through the ground until it goes clink, and that's how we know where the trees are. We have a metal nose, a tree sniffer. That's what I like to call it. And where it goes clink, we start digging the tree out. So Daryl does the start, and of course, there's me doing the end. Now, you notice how it doesn't come up above the ground? Wonder how long that's been sitting there just waiting to be found. Fantastic stuff. So thank you to those of you who've sent in your donations, because we do real research. Yes, I know you will find the skeptics say, oh, creationists just believe things. No, the first scientists believed things, and that's why they did research. We believe things, don't deny it. But you see, the choice you've got is to believe that which is right or that which is wrong. Now, if you're an evolutionist, you believe that tree sort of started out as a fungus, which started out as hydrogen. What a foolish concept. You see, there's no evidence for that. But if there's evidence here for trees having always been trees since these rocks were laid down, you've got it. We know what this tree is. It's one of the pine family. It has exactly the same characteristics. Oh, and it's good exercise for John Mackay, Diane Eager, Darrell, etc. Oh, and what's Diane doing? Well, there's Diane and Trish. Trish has been a long time friend and helper of the ministry. Diane's been a long time worker in the ministry. And the ladies were very busy that day. We've changed locations. And can you see what we were doing? We were sorting. We have lots of fossil trees, hundreds of fossil plants, thousands of fossil fishes, and we have gazillions of fossil bones, particularly from the Darling Downs. And their job was to sort these out. What's the long-term aim? Well, not only to pick the best ones, because I think I got out 5 big boxes of bones for them to sort out. They were looking for bones that were basically sealed off from the outside, like these ones. You see these complete vertebrae, ones without many entrances where rubbish could get in. And of course, our long-term aim is to run some DNA testing on these. Yes, we have a lovely big kangaroo skeleton. We have a marsupial lion tooth, and we have these vertebral bones and leg bones, and we're really interested in finding out about the DNA of our fossil marsupials. Or if you think marsupials are only found in Australia, think again. You find them, even our Australian type animals, I've seen them in Canada. You even find possums over there. You even find the things that look like platypus in South America and other places. So Australia is pretty unique, but we are interested in checking out the DNA from this.